Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As promised, I'm going to do hopefully a short video of all the mods and updates and upgrades that I've done to what is now being called the Black Pearl. I'm going to try to run through them. It's been a long year. There's a lot of mods that have been done, so I may forget stuff and I'll come back later and try to edit and update. But as of right now, this is a 2023 Tacoma TRD Sport. And let me go ahead and say this off the rip. No, she is not four-wheel drive. Yeah, so it wasn't an option when I bought this truck, and the short version is that I got a crazy, stupid, awesome deal on this truck due to the dealership having 100% inventory loss due to hail damage. As a matter of fact, my truck came in 3 hours before the hailstorm. So with that being said, I saved 15 grand on the base price of this truck. And then some good wheeling and dealing and negotiating on my part, I ended up with a $25,000 truck with 4 miles. They didn't have a four-wheel drive option, or of course I would have gone with a four-wheel drive, as everything else in my driveway is four-wheel drive. But knowing that she was two-wheel drive and what my plans for her were, I did go with a winch. That is to compensate for the lack of four-wheel drive. Right off the bat, let me go ahead and tell you, as much as I am looking forward to and wanting to embark on this overlanding adventure, I also know what my style is. I'm not looking to do crazy obstacles or technical obstacles, or jacking up my truck on 37s with this crazy high-end lift and suspension kits. That's not really my speed. I've been off-roading, not necessarily overlanding, but off-roading since before I was even legal to drive. If it had tires on it, I threw it in the mud. Followed by, hey, watch this, which is where I probably learned half of everything I know about off-roading. Being stupid, getting it stuck, tearing it up, moving on. Now that I'm much more mature and refined, I choose to do this a little bit more sensibly. With that being said, my intentions with my truck is to just get off the grid, get out into areas otherwise uninhabited and charted without getting crazy, but still having the ability to get myself through some mild sticky situations, if you will. So I built my rig in accordance to what my plans and intentions are. And up front, I should say this, you know, that's how everybody should build a rig. Build it to what you want to do with it. Just because you watch, you know, somebody on YouTube and they've got this amazingly awesome, badass looking rig doesn't mean that's what you need. This is a rabbit hole, and you can get deeper down that rabbit hole and deeper in your pockets in doing so. And it's not hard to do, but you don't have to do it that way. I built my rig according to what my needs and specifications are. And for me, it's just about getting off the beaten path. So in that mind frame, in that mindset, I, made modifications that were going to suit my needs. So what I have right here is a FabFours Vengeance bumper, and it is the sister bumper to the rear bumper. Again, a FabFours Vengeance. 1/4-inch steel plate, black powder coat. It's got the cutout for the light bar. The light bar was separate. Now, what's cool about this light bar, and I don't remember what the manufacturer is, this actually has a high beam and a low beam, for which I was able to accommodate with my Auxbeam switch boxes in the truck. I'll get to that later. I have a Rough Country 9,500-pound winch. I'll go ahead and tell you, this will be coming off, this tow hook, in the event I have to tow or be towed. If there's failure there, that becomes a very dangerous projectile. If it doesn't cause serious damage to the rig, then it could be very devastating to human life. So I will be replacing it, but as it stands right now, that is a synthetic cable 9,500-pound winch. I'll go ahead and say this. Half this truck was built by Rough Country, the other half was built by Amazon. So keeping that in mind, I tried to go the middle ground on everything that I have done to this rig. And there are certain things, you just don't go middle ground. You go for the gusto, and you go, top quality. It doesn't have to be top price or cost, but quality is what you need to go for. As you can see, I've got my hood open. One of the little mods that I made on this truck, and if anybody here has a Tacoma, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Probably the heaviest part of this vehicle is that hood right there. So I did go ahead with the Redline tuning struts on the hood. It definitely is a big help and assist, and you don't have that rod in your way. And when you're 5'1" and change like me, and your truck's got a little bit of a lift on it, I struggle to get that hood open and propped. So, small mod, but probably one of my favorites, just because when I need it, it's everything I need it to be, just right open. All right, moving on. What I have in here is the Genesis 3 off-road dual battery system. So to explain what this is, you got the dual batteries here. One is your cranking battery and the other one is your auxiliary battery. And right here is a switch which allows you to have it in auto mode, which is what I have it in now. Basically, this brain will decide when it's time to switch from the primary battery to the auxiliary battery. And then I've got an on-off switch. So the purpose of this is when your rig is self-sustaining and you have your lights and your refrigerator, your heater, your air compressor, whatever add-ons that you have, your accessories, it all pulls off of your battery. And a dual battery system allows you to have your cranking battery and your auxiliary battery. And as you're going down the road, they both charge and they keep each other going. And then when you stop and you've shut the truck off, it'll run and it'll pull off of your cranking battery. Once the cranking battery hits, I think, 14.7 for 1 minute, it immediately switches on auto mode. It'll switch over to the secondary battery, your auxiliary battery, and it'll run everything off your auxiliary battery. And the whole point of that, of course, being you don't kill your truck and unable to crank your rig. So this was my most recent mod in order to run all these lights. Now, again, I kind of skimmed by here. As you can see, I've got the high-low beam single row LED light bar. I also have these 3-inch cube lights, 3 of them, 6 total. So that's a lot of light draw, even though they are LED. And all of this is wired in, and I'll show you again. If you look under the hood here, you can see I have my Auxbeam switch box. So all my LED lights run through this switch box, and I also have a second one in the back. I do have a auxiliary switch in the truck for which I can turn it on and off. This switch box runs all my lights, and it's great because the Auxbeam that I have in the truck, again, it utilizes the high and low beam on that light bar, and I can use any combination of lights. It's really cool is that it also has flashing and strobe features. Of course, you would only use those in event of emergency. It controls all of my off-road lights. Moving on. So again, I've got my 3-inch amber cubes. They actually have multi-functions. I just don't have them hooked up because it's not necessary for my needs. But they are the amber off-road lights, and I actually had no intention of putting ambers on my vehicle until I realized there's a reason and a performance factor to them. So in fog, snow, rain, the mist, the haze, your LEDs, they don't necessarily cut through it. They literally will bounce back like anything else. That's why you don't run your high beams in the fog, is because the water particles just act like reflectors and they reflect it right back to you. So you're not seeing further down the road, you're just seeing a brighter version of what you're already seeing. But the ambers do cut through that. So I did recently just install the ambers. All right, so here we have the Toyo Open Country RT Trails. These are 285 17s. They're on 17-inch American Racing Bullethole rims. They are basically 33s, and I can show you that right here. I have 32s, and if you look at those two tires, you can see this one's a little bit bigger than the 32s that I have on here. All right, so this is the factory step bar. If I were doing any serious technical obstacles in my overlanding, I would definitely remove this, because this right here becomes a catch point. And I would probably go with rock sliders. And I may still go with rock sliders, but for me, again, being short, I kind of like having that step there. All right, so moving along the back here. So up here I have my TKM Roof Rack. I'm not sure the brand of that storage box, but that storage box has my shovel, my axe, hatchet, just some field tools, if you will. Eventually it might carry other bang bang tools. All right, back here, this was a package deal, and this is where this rabbit hole got started. I bought this bed rack and the Trailhead tent. It's a 4-person tent as a set for a couple $100. It was a steal of a deal. But yeah, I've used the tent. If you go on the channel, you'll see where I went backyard camping. It was a dry run with me and my grandsons and my son, and we all fit in here, I would say, comfortably. We were definitely squeezed in a little tight, but still doable. Got the Rotopacks, gas and diesel. Obviously the diesel's for the diesel heater. For me, I like this little flip out step. Helps me get in the bed of my truck or get on my tailgate. Again, short people mods. If you're short like me, get one. All right, so back here we're gonna talk about this. So this is an interesting contraption. You've probably not seen it before, and I'm working closely with the designer fabricator of this. This is the RucRak, and this is the Gunny version. And I'll do another video going through this, but honestly, if you go to his website, he does a much better job than I would do. But this is a carrier. Also has wheels to make it a buggy and a handle. And I'll probably go through it again another time, but this table folds down. I've got it set up so that when I open it up, as you'll see right here, I'll go ahead and pop it open. But this is like a 5-in-1 bumper hitch setup, and that's why I got it, because you got the table, you've got the carrier, which also converts into a wagon. This is called the Ruck Wagon. It also flips over, turns into a bike carrier. Got a place here for an umbrella or fishing pole or whatever you want to stick in there. And this swings out, and like I said, this will fold down and make a table. All right, so now we're looking at obviously the rear end of the truck. This is the again, the FabFours Vengeance sister bumper to the front bumper. I think it's 1/8-inch steel plate, black powder coat. I've got the 3-inch cubes. Those are actually my reverse lights. So when I throw the truck in reverse, it will light it up behind me. What I think is really cool too, just like one of those little things that FabFours did, their little emblem right here has got a light in it. So it's red, and it lights the ground. It's pretty cool. I do like that. Everybody loves my decal. I'll go ahead and address that. That is black vinyl. I will actually post a picture of what it looks like. So right now it just looks like, you know, a grayed out piece of vinyl on the tailgate. But when your LED lights hit it, it lights up bright white. Really cool. In here, I'm gonna go ahead and open this. I've got the deck drawer system, and you know, that was a trade-off, because it does give me the storage for all of my cooking gear and accessories and whatnot. But obviously I give up, as you can see, just in the bed, I give up probably about 60% of my bed use. And then add to it the bed rack, very limited. I will say that the RucRak, I actually went grocery shopping and I bought one of those big cases of water, dropped that case of water in there, and it toted it just fine. Same thing with a 55-pound bag of dog food. No sweat. So that made it easier than me having to pick it up and hoist it in here. Again, I'll go over my gear at another time, but yeah, the drawers are locked right now. I'm not sure if you can see. Let me pull you over here. So you can see here's the other switch box assembly, and here's my Auxbeam switch box. And I've got my galley lights right here. It's all controlled inside the truck with an auxiliary switch, so that truck does not have to be running for the lights to be working. So as you can see, the switch box has lit up, and these are my floodlights, so that's going to be these lights. Those are my galley lights. I have this one here. Got my fridge, and then this is my cargo lights. I've got 2 open channels here that I can add lights to later. The truck does come with this factory 110 right here. I think this is only good when the truck is running. Kind of pointless if you're out in, you know, the middle of nowhere and you need power. A lot of it's been lighting and hardware. I did upgrade, I meant to point out up front, I did upgrade to the LED rear and front headlights and taillights. This is my actual off-road recovery gear. I've got my K-rope, kinetic rope, snatch block, soft shackles, O-ring. So I do have recovery gear, and I think that's the most important thing, and we'll talk about that in a minute. They're LED headlights. And then I added these little accessory lights as well. That is pretty much the overview of all the hardware. Lighting is important, of course. Lighting should be whatever suits your needs. I can't think off the top of my head any other hardware that I've had installed. Oh, I do. I'm sorry, I missed the lift. I do have a block and strut lift, 3-inch lift with leveling kit on here. Nothing crazy, nothing major, because again, I have my idea of what I'm going to be doing overlanding or off-roading. You know, everybody has their own idea of it. For me, it is about remote camping and getting some of these great camping locations. You know, some people it's about the journey, getting wherever it is, not the destination, and I can agree with that. But for me, it is about both. It's about the journey and the destination, you know, where I end up and wake up in the morning. That's those epic campsites that you just don't find at a local campground. I mean, they got great camping sites, sure, but you're sharing the views and the locations with other campers. So I've built my rig to what I am wanting to do within the overlanding community. That's not to say at another time that, you know, I may want to get out and do a little bit more technical off-roading and take on some more challenging obstacles, but keeping in mind my rig and my personal capabilities. And that is, I think, probably one of the most important pieces of advice that I could give anybody is know your rig and your own limitations and capabilities. Knowing that she's only 2-wheel drive, I know that just because I have self-recovery doesn't mean I'm always going to be able to use it. And I have to use good judgment when I get on a trail and assess the situation. And one of the most important tools in my personal toolbox is knowing when to stop, knowing when to get out and look. And I think that can save you a lot of headache and aggravation on the trails and can be the difference between a good day and a bad day. If you see yourself coming up on something and you question it, get out, look, check it out, you know, assess the situation and make a informed decision. Is your rig capable of handling, you know, high clearances? Is your rig capable of handling deep mud or, you know, high water crossings? And if you question your rig or your abilities, then don't. You'll save yourself a lot of aggravation. Know your rig and your own limitations and capabilities. There's a lot of good advice out there. I think that's probably the first. Well, I think it's a good tie with keep your rig in good repair. Always do an inspection. Again, a lot of what I do is based off of my experience as a truck driver, and one of the most important things I do is to do a pre-trip inspection. Check everything. Make sure all your systems are good. Check your tires. Make sure there's no cuts or abrasions. Check your wheel seals. Check your brakes. Check your steering systems, your suspension system. You know, get under there, grab things, touch things, move things, and if it don't feel right, it don't look right, well, then don't go. Because you'll save yourself a breakdown when you're in a remote area and then you're having to call some kind of tow or recovery, and that bill can get pretty expensive. Routine maintenance and inspections and repairs are an absolute necessity. Don't think you can just go out there and give it hell and beat your truck up and expect your truck to crank up. If you take care of it, it will. But if you don't, it will leave you in a bind. That's my thoughts for today, and hopefully I've shared some good knowledge with you, and again, the opportunity to do a overview of my rig and operational modifications. And when I say operational, again, for the purpose of overlanding and off-roading. I hope to catch you next time.